Welcome back. My name is Dr. Carl Baird, and today I'll be showing you 6 exercises that solve up to 95% of lower back pain in adults. So the only thing you need to know about these exercises is 1, that they're effective, meaning they target the muscles that we need to target to protect and support the structures in your spine. And 2, and most importantly for anyone with lower back pain, is that they're safe, meaning they allow you to build strength without stressing the lower back itself. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. If you are somebody who's struggling with lower back pain, one of the primary muscle groups that we want to strengthen is your glutes, or these big hip muscles. There's a lot of reasons why this is important, but for people with lower back pain, it's important because strong glutes help set a good foundation for spinal alignment. And when we have good spinal alignment, that limits the impact that goes through the structures of our spine. And so there are a lot of ways to strengthen your glutes if you go on the internet. Not all of them are good for lower back pain. And that's why I always recommend that people start with the glute bridge, because not only is it effective, but it's safe, meaning not a lot of impact goes through the spine itself. So to perform that glute bridge, you're on your back, hands out at the side, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and then all you're going to do is press through your feet to lift those hips up and come back down. So again, you can do a little self-check, poke those glutes, make sure the glutes are engaged, and there is glute bridge. So as you probably already know, building a strong core is also important for help protecting your lower back. And as you also probably know, there are a lot of different ways to strengthen your core. Not all of them are safe for the low back. So for people with lower back pain, I always start with some variation of the plank, because all it is a static hold, meaning there's not a lot of movement or force that goes through the spine itself, giving you a way to strengthen your core without aggravating your lower back. So it's, again, very easy to perform. If you're a beginner, I recommend you start on your knees and perform a knee plank. So I'm on my forearms, I got my knees and toes, and I want to hold this for the total of 1 minute. So again, if you're a beginner and you can't do a minute straight, it's okay. You do 20 seconds, however long you need to. You can come out of it, stop your timer, and then try to get back into it until you accumulate a minute. And ideally, you do this until you can hold the plank for a full minute. Now, once the knee plank feels too easy, all you do is lift those knees. And now you got a traditional toe plank. Same idea. We want to hold this for a minute straight. If you need to take a break, just drop your knees and accumulate that total minute until you can do a minute straight. Another important aspect of building a strong core to protect your lower back is also remembering that we need to strengthen our lateral core. There's a lot of spinal stabilizers that are important to protecting our lower back, and that's why we like the side plank. Now I'm going to show you an exercise called the side plank clamshell, because it combines 2 of my favorite, the side plank and the clamshell. So to perform, I've got my elbow right under my shoulder, hips, knees, and feet stacked. And to perform the clamshell, we're just going to come up on our knees. And so in this top position, I'm making sure that my body is in a nice straight line. I'm not rounded forward here. And to perform the clamshell, I'm keeping my feet together, but lifting my hips. So again, I love this exercise because it targets that lateral core, but it also targets the glute med, and you'll also feel it on this bottom side glute med as well. Goal here is to shoot for 45 seconds. Make sure you do it on each side. The next exercise that we'll take a look at are called Romanian deadlifts. So for people with lower back pain, this is an important exercise to add into your routine for a couple reasons. One is that it strengthens your hamstring and your glutes, which as we mentioned earlier, is important for people with lower back pain. But second, it teaches you how to maintain a position called the neutral spine as you perform dynamic movements. And again, this neutral spine is just a position of your spine where the least amount of impact goes through those joints in your back. So learning this movement through the Romanian deadlift can really help you with your lower back pain. So to perform the movement, I'm going to be using a kettlebell. You can also use a dumbbell. You can also use a barbell, but I like to start with the kettlebell because it's a little safer and easier to learn, specifically if you're new to this movement. So all we're going to do, pick up our kettlebell, grab it with both hands, and just let it hang in between your legs here, feet about hip width apart, and then all we're going to do is reach our hips back and let that kettlebell pull us straight down. And we want to stop when we feel tension in the hamstrings. We don't want to go too low and get that rounding of the lower back. So again, feet hip width apart, loose knees, send those hips back. Kettlebell should be moving in a straight line. Stop when I feel tension in the hamstrings and come back up. And there you have the Romanian deadlift. Another great strengthening exercise to add into your routine to help fix your lower back pain is the deadlift. So there's a number of reasons why I like the deadlift, but for the sake of this video, the primary reason is that when you lift heavy weights from the floor, it requires a lot of what's called motor recruitment or muscle activation. And when we have that full body muscle activation, that's going to mean less impact going through the joints and the discs. Now, with that being said, you need to perform this movement with a lot of care, because if it's not performed with very good form, then you do run the risk of aggravating your lower back pain. So that's another reason why I like to start people off with the kettlebell deadlift variation versus the actual barbell, because you can start at a lower weight, allow you to learn the movement before you move on to the heavier weights. So to perform the kettlebell deadlift, start with the weight on the ground, feet on the outside of the kettlebell. So don't start too far back like this, feet on the outside. I'm going to perform that hip hinge like we did with the Romanian deadlift. Once I can't go any lower, then I'll bend my knees to get to the rest of the weight. So again, now to lift this weight from the ground, I'll lift my hips slightly to create that tension in the hamstrings. Keep that strong neutral spine, press through the feet to lift up, and then setting it back down. You have to be just as careful. So remember, hip hinging and then bending the knees to set it down. So just a couple repetitions so you can see what it looks like. Start with lighter weight until you get the hang of it, and then move on to something heavier. And finally, we have an exercise called the farmer's carry. The farmer's carry is great for your lower back for a number of reasons. One is that it's a full body functional core strengthening exercise. So it strengthens your core with a movement that you do every day, like walking. And it also helps create that full body tension that we talked about with the deadlift. And again, the more motor recruitment you can get, the more your muscles take over and handle the impacts of your daily life, and the less of that impact goes through your discs and your joints. So to perform the farmer's carry, pretty simple. You're going to grab 2 weights, so 2 dumbbells. You want them to be on the medium to heavier side. You don't want this to be too light or you won't get much out of it. So before we start walking, I like to do about a 25% grip on the weight. That creates tension up my arms. I like to make sure my shoulders are nice and rolled back, and that creates tension in my lats and in my shoulders. And then from there, all we're going to do is walk forward. And then when you run out of room, turn around and walk back. So the main thing you want to watch out for is that you're not letting the weights pull you back and forth. Again, you're creating that tension and you're controlling the weight, not letting the weight control you. So that's all I got for you today. 6 strength exercises that solve up to 95% of lower back pain in adults. If you are somebody who's struggling with lower back pain, I would hope the message that you get from this video is that learning how to reduce the impact that goes through your lower back is the best way to solve lower back pain and keep active as you get older. And the only way to reduce the impact on the spine is to improve movement and build strength. Pills, injections, surgery are very good for temporary relief, but when they wear off, if you haven't improved your movement and you haven't built strength, you're still getting that same impact through the spine, and it's only a matter of time before it comes back. So that's all I got for you today. If you do have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer what I can. Don't forget, if you like this content, to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching.